Marcus is 41 years old. He's a civil engineer in Charlotte, and in March of 2020, he did exactly what every single one of his instincts told him to do. He sold everything. The S&P 500 had dropped 34% in 33 days. His phone was buzzing with headlines about a global pandemic. His brother-in-law, who works in finance, told him, "Marcus, get out now. This is just the beginning." So Marcus sold his entire brokerage account, $63,000, and moved it to cash. He slept better that night than he had in weeks. Here's what happened next. The market bottomed on March 23, 2020. By August, it had fully recovered. By the end of 2020, the S&P 500 was up 18.4% for the year. Marcus, sitting in cash, missed every single dollar of that. And because he couldn't bring himself to buy back in at all-time highs, he was still mostly in cash a year later. He didn't lose money on a bad investment. He lost money by doing the smart thing. That's the trap. And I need you to understand it, because Marcus isn't unusual. He's the rule. I made a version of this mistake when I was 29. I had put $8,000 into a broad market index fund, basically my entire savings at the time. This was late 2008. I watched it drop to about $5,200 over 3 months. I told myself I was a long-term investor. I told myself I'd hold. And then one morning, I looked at my account, saw $4,900, and my hand just moved. Clicked sell, locked in the loss. The market hit its bottom in March 2009. I bought back in 14 months later, after I'd convinced myself it was safe again, which really just meant it had already gone up 60% from the bottom. Let me be honest with you. I didn't lose that money because I was dumb. I lost it because I was human. That distinction matters more than almost anything else in investing. Okay, so here's where it gets interesting. A study by Dalbar, they've been running this research for over 30 years, found that between 1993 and 2023, the average equity fund investor earned 6.3% per year. The S&P 500 returned 10.2% per year over the same period. Same funds, different results. Why? Because the average investor kept moving in and out. They bought enthusiasm and sold fear. The gap between what the market returned and what investors actually captured, that gap is 3.9% annually. Over 30 years, that's not a rounding error. That's the difference between retiring and not retiring. Think about that for a second. The market gave everyone 10.2%. Most people took 6.3%. The market didn't steal the other 3.9%. Their instincts did. Now, contrarian investing is not the same as being a contrarian for sport. I've met people who take the opposite position on everything just to seem smart at dinner parties. That's not this. Real contrarian investing is something much more specific and much more uncomfortable. It's the recognition that price and value are almost never the same thing, and the gap between them is widest exactly when your fear is loudest. Here's the reframe that changed how I think about this. When you see a stock drop 40%, you feel like something has been destroyed. But what's actually happened is the price tag changed. The business, its factories, its customers, its patents, its people, that's still there. In some cases, it got stronger while the stock fell. The price and the business are two different things. Most people spend their whole investing lives confusing the price tag for the product. Think about it this way. If your favorite restaurant dropped its prices 40% because of a slow month, you wouldn't assume the food got worse. You'd probably go more often. But when a stock drops 40%, we assume the company is ruined. That's the primal brain talking. That's the fear response that kept our ancestors alive on the savannah, completely misapplied to a spreadsheet. Let me tell you about a woman named Carol. She's 67 now, retired. She used to work as an office manager in Cleveland, and she started investing in 1987, 3 months before Black Monday, when the Dow dropped 22.6% in a single day. That's the largest single-day percentage crash in market history. Carol's account dropped by roughly $4,200 in a day. She felt sick. And then she did something that, at the time, seemed crazy even to her. She bought more. Not a lot, She moved $200 from her savings into her account the following Monday, then $200 the next month, and the month after. She didn't time it. She didn't research the macro environment. She just kept buying while everyone around her was frozen or fleeing. By 1990, that account had recovered and was growing. Carol kept going. Small, regular purchases. Every correction, she'd push a little extra in. She didn't call it contrarian investing. She called it buying when things are on sale. When I talked to her about this years ago, she said, "I figured if the whole country goes broke, my money doesn't matter anyway, so I might as well bet on it not going broke." That's more sophisticated than it sounds. Carol is not a financial genius. She doesn't know what a PE ratio is. What she had was a framework that insulated her from the instinct to flee, and it produced results that would embarrass most professional fund managers. So what's the actual framework? What do you do with this? Here's what I've landed on after years of making the wrong moves and slowly correcting them. First, when there is blood in the streets, make a list. Not a buy list, not yet. Just a list of businesses you understand and believe in. Write down 3 to 5 of them. Keep that list somewhere you'll see it when you're scared. Because when the panic hits, you won't be thinking clearly, and a pre-committed list is an anchor. Second, set a rule before the crash, not during it. Something like, if this fund drops 20% from its peak, I will buy $500 more, period. Pre-commitment is the only reliable way to override fear in the moment. Willpower doesn't work at 3 a.m. when your account is down 30%. Third, measure your reaction time. After the next correction, and there will be a next one, look at when you felt the urge to sell. Then look at where the market was 3 years later. Do that twice, and you'll never trust your panic again. Now, none of this works if you need the money in 6 months. I want to be clear about that. This framework is for money you genuinely won't need for 5 years or more. Contrarian investing with rent money is not contrarian. That's just desperation. But if you're someone who earns a paycheck, keeps a little in savings, has started putting money into a brokerage or retirement account, and finds yourself frozen every time the market dips, this is for you. If you've ever sold something and then watched it recover without you, this is for you. If you've ever waited until the market felt safe to buy in and then bought right near the top, this is for you. The crowd will always feel right at the worst moment. That's not a bug. That's how markets work. The consensus is always loudest at the extremes because that's when fear and greed are doing their loudest talking. Your instinct is not your edge. It is your opponent. Tonight, not this week, tonight, open your brokerage account and write down one broad index fund you already own or have looked at. Then write the number that represents a 20% drop from today's price. Write it down. That's your buy trigger. Put it somewhere you'll find it in 6 months. That's the whole move. Not glamorous, not complicated. Just a small act of defiance against the part of your brain that will absolutely try to protect you straight into poverty. The best trade you'll ever make will feel, in the moment, like the worst idea you've ever had. That feeling is the signal, not the warning.